allowed? Will it be driven by? we're working, yes.
Okay.
No, not the last one we did.
Okay, since there's no public comment, you have 2 minutes to comment on anything that's on the agenda. Could we silence all electronic devices? Okay, the first item we have is a bid opening report by Kane Dufresne, Safe Room Project.
Good evening, Council. Today at 3 p.m. in the Council Chambers, the bid opening for the Essential Services Safe Room took place. We had one bid, Onshore Construction Company, LLC, 127 Lincoln Avenue, Thibodaux, Louisiana, with a bid amount of $1,220,000 and an alternate amount of $98,910. Administration recommends you take it under advisement.
You have a motion from Ms. Hotard and a second by Mrs. Remedy. Any discussion? Use your lights.
That, oh, Michael. That carries unanimously.
Okay, the next item we have is Mrs. Laverne Toombs, authorization to reject all proposals received and re-advertise the request for proposals for the grass cutting and landscaping services in accordance with section 6.3 under the parish comment of RFP 218-002.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I decided I would stand because I think my voice is louder.
Sure.
Thank you. Based on the questions and concerns expressed by several local contractors and council members, this request aims to clarify some of the RFP requirements and to regroup and add new grass cutting areas to the proposal. Administration recommends approval.
Okay, we heard from administration. Motion by Mr. Becknell, a second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussions? Mr. Wright? And then Ms. Remedy?
Thank you. Ms. Toombs, when does the current contracts expire?
I believe it expires June 30 this month.
Okay. And are we just going to operate on a purchase order?
Under a PO, yes, sir.
Okay.
And all the contractors have been notified.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Remedy?
Yes, I see you say we're going to regroup and add new grass cutting areas. Do we know what those areas are right now that we're considering adding to this?
We're going to get together and have some discussions. I know that you have brought some areas here.
Had some question about other locations we cut as well, so,
We're all going to get together, the directors who are responsible for the grass cutting areas.
okay.
And have other discussions.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Snyder?
I'd like to meet with you if it's possible to discuss some issues I have with the grass cutting. Some areas that I think need some attention whenever we get a chance.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll follow up with you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? And I have one. I'd like to request that the council receive a draft of the RFP and legal review before it goes out to the public. Could that happen on this?
That's an item we're going to discuss in the regular council.
Correct. I just thought I'd bring it up since we're on here, and yes, thank you. Any more questions? Use your lights.
That carries unanimously.
Okay, the next item we have is Ms. Laverne Toombs, authorization to assign AAB Electrical Industries Incorporated interests and obligations of their existing contract to Louisiana AAB Electrical Industries LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In accordance with the terms of the original contract, your approval of this request allows all interests and obligations of the contract to be assigned from AAB Electrical Industries, Inc. to Louisiana AAB Electrical Industries, LLC. This request was initiated by the company due to the change of ownership, and approval is required to allow the contract to remain in effect. The original request is from the guidance from legal counsel that was made on June 6,
Okay, Ms. Horton?
Thank you. I would offer a motion to approve this contingent upon legal's final review and acceptance of the document.
Okay, I have a second by Mr. Perilou.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Any more discussions? Yes.
And it was contingent upon the review and acceptance by legal
Thank you,
counsel.
thank you.
Okay. Use your lights.
Okay, that carries 8 in favor with 1 abstaining.
Okay, the next item we have is Mr. Duran Cooper and Andre Monat. Authorization to enter into a professional service agreement with Principal Engineering for the Woodland Bridge Repair Project.
Good evening, council. The firm has worked under a contract on a joint rehabilitation project of the Fairway Drive and Woodland Drive bridges since 2015. Design and construction of the Fairway Drive Bridge was completed in 2017. While the design of the Woodland Bridge continued and was delayed due to the access issues involving the Woodland wastewater treatment plant during construction. Subsequently, the contract expired as no additional extensions are allowed. Principal Engineering Incorporated has completed the design for the Woodland Drive Bridge and is ready to manage its construction. They were originally selected from the 2013 Public Works AE pool, and the recommendation is to use the 2016 AE pool to enter into a new agreement to continue management and administration services for this project. This new agreement is for 18 months at a total cost of $25,883.94, funded through the 2014 bond issue. This firm did an excellent job on the Greenwood Drive, Country Club Drive, and Fairway Drive bridges, and is prepared to finish the Woodland Drive Bridge. It is not practical, nor is it recommended that any other firm than this one be assigned the remainder of this project. The draft contract and all RFP documents from 2015, 2016 were sent to legal counsel at their request. The pool of firm was procured properly and in the best interest of the parish. There is no question that Principal Engineering is the firm to complete this project. Administration recommends approval of the new contract to finish this project.
Okay, we heard from administration. A motion by Mrs. Ramaday, second by Mr.
No, he's not seconding it.
Not-
Based upon what they have on the paper, they say they need some additional, they need to do some legal research and review. That's what I'm looking at right here on the legal response. I'd like to hear from legal.
Okay, can I get a motion for discussion? Okay, motion by Mr. Wright, second by Mr. Perilou.
Really? No, we really don't. Yeah.
The scope of, Keith Green Jr. with the District Attorney's Office, the scope of work that is, that's referenced in this contract, it doesn't match the scope of work that was actually advertised in the RFQ. Principal was originally awarded that January 2015 contract, and they were selected through RFQ number 2014-04, which was titled Fairway Drive and Woodland Bridge Rehabilitation Project. The contract included a similar scope of work for services for an identical project that was supposed to be completed by January of 2018, but it was not. Now, under that 2015 contract, administration obtained 2 valid contract extensions, a third extension that's questionable, and then, of course, an attempted fourth one that was clearly invalid. And the reason we need more time to continue to review this and research it is because it looks as though this is a second contract for work that should have already been completed. Now, we are getting the documents that we need from administration to review, but we're just trying to really understand how this is actually set up, how Principal came back here
Ms. Hotard first, and then Mr. Snyder after.
Thank you. Just a quick question, and maybe it's not so much directed at you. I do know that Principal, they did complete, was it Fairway? Did y'all do Fairway? And it was done, you know, very well. I believe we were under budget. It was on, you know, they did a really good job. Of course, we want this, you know, all of the paperwork to reflect everything that's correct. Is there a way to not hold up this project, like, you know, contingent upon legal reviewing this, something so that we don't hold up this, the remainder of this project as well?
Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that. Based on the 2015 contract, it was specifically for Fairway Bridge as well as the Woodland Drive Bridge. So with both of those projects being contained into one contract, legal minds would say that that is what the contract was for, to complete both of those things within that time frame, and it wasn't that. So we are looking at a couple of different things right now, but that's the thing, we don't know. We just got some more documentation last night, as a matter of fact, to review with respect to this, so that's why we're cautioning you all not to do anything, because we don't know. We're still trying to figure it out.
And I don't have it 100% committed to memory because it's so much, but I want to say that when you all dig, you know, get all of the files, that some of the delays were on our part, that they didn't happen at the exact same time, not something that the engineer didn't do, maybe a financial bonding, you know, the money, it was not, I believe that was some of the issues. Yeah, land acquisition. There were some other issues that were involved in it. It wasn't just a delay of the project on the engineer's part, just from what I remember of it. And only because it's in my area that I do remember how bad the Fairway Bridge, I mean, it was almost unsafe. It was probably unsafe. And so we had to expedite that. And I just remember some of the delays may have been on our part. Laverne probably has more. I just remember a little bit of what I have in my memory about it. Yeah.
That's where our posture is right now. What we're seeing is same scope of work, already issued, being reissued. We have to try to figure out, okay, how is this being done? And what exactly is being done?
And that's why I said I would like to see at some point, or if we can even do it tonight, to, you know, get legal's approval. We know we want to do it the right way, but we know how critical of a project this is to be completed.
Honestly, we are working diligently on this. We really and truly are.
Is it permissible to approve based on legal's review, or how would you ask us to proceed?
That because we're not entirely sure that this contract was actually.
I got you. I got
That's
you.
the whole
Okay.
thing. You know, they say it was done through the RFQ, through the A&E pool, and what have yous, but now this morning we just got the scoring sheets, and it doesn't seem as though the scoring sheets, it seems as though the scoring sheets reflect the RFQ itself, but not this particular project. If that makes any sense. So it's, you know, you selected a qualified contractor, but the scope of services that were, I guess you could say, scored weren't the scope of services for this particular project, but the scope of services that were in the RFQ, and they were very general because it was for a pool.
And I thought that's how they operated with the pool the whole way, was to create an A&E pool for, let's say, public works projects and rank them, and so that if you have a project, you could pull from that selected.
I would not doubt that, but I know that the 2015 contract was actually entered into, or the company was selected via the RFQ specific for that project. So that's a little bit different. It didn't use the A&E pool. There was an actual RFQ that went out that was titled, you know, Fairway Drive, Woodland Drive Bridge Rehabilitation Project.
I would just recommend that, you know, Miss Toombs, if sooner than later we can get with legal, because like I said, I remember bits and pieces of it, and I know this is an important project.
We've been in communications with Mr. Green. I understand that Mr. Cooper called him yesterday and explained to him this process. And just to those that may not be familiar, Councilwoman, you are correct. In 2014 or 2015, when this contract was awarded, they started on the Fairway Bridge, and understand that it was actually supposed to be rehab, and when they discovered it was more than what it was supposed to be. And so they actually had to start construction, which
Mr. Snyder?
Actually, Ms. Toombs, she answered my question. I'm sorry. You answered my question. I had a couple of questions, you answered both. And I do remember that same thing, that this project was kind of held up because of us having to get to our wastewater treatment plant back there. That's gonna be a problem. That's why it was held up. But I could also understand the district attorney's position in that we need to be sure that we are right legally the way we issue out this contract, because like you said, they've had two extensions and a third one and a fourth one here now. So that was my question at our last meeting. I saw those extensions, I read the contract, and I know that had to be illegal to do that. It was 1 year to 6 months extension, they had used all of that up. So I had a question pertaining to this recommendation from the 2016 A&E pool. I didn't recall that. Why could we just use the same system we had in 13? All we did was broken down to categories, am I right, for 2016 A&E pools?
I think those A&E pools, if I'm not mistaken, were just for 2 years. I think that, I stand to be corrected, but I believe it's 2 years that we renew those A&E pools.
Well, I know we had asked one time to go back out again.
That was for utilities, that you all asked us to go back out.
Right, and get some more.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we did get advice from legal. Legal gave us their opinion on this item.
Well, I think based on the information that we got for legal, and like Mr. Snyder said, we want to make sure that everything is right. I think legal, suggested that we table this item to the next meeting until they have a chance to review all the information that they need to give us some opinion. That's a motion.
Okay. I have a motion from Mr. Madair and a second from Mr. Snyder. That this item be tabled. Use your lights.
Hit me.
That carries unanimously.
Okay, the next item we have is Mr. Duran Cooper and Mr. Michael Tabb.
Oh, we got
Authorization to execute change order number 5 with Lamar Contractors Incorporated for the government complex building.
Mr. Serapper, I think
It's
you're gonna have to
6:30.
carry this one over. It probably is gonna have some questions.
Recess.
Okay, I'll make a
Recess.
motion for recess.
motion.
Motion by Mrs. Hotard and second by Mr. Wright. Use your lights.
That carries unanimously.
St. John the Baptist Parish regular council meeting Tuesday, June 26th. Silence your electronic devices. I think we already did that for the Finance Committee meeting. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Larry Saraparu.
Here.
Kurt Becknell.
Here.
Julia Remenday.
Here.
Larry Schneider. Lennox Madair.
Here.
Michael Wright. Marvin Paraloo. Thomas Malik. Jacqueline Hotard. We do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. I would ask Mr. Michael Wright to lead us in prayer, and Mr. Snyder with the Pledge of Allegiance. Entertain a motion for recess. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, Ms. Hotard.
Thank you. Just really quick, for those viewers that are watching, the council mics are on, and I was just informed that administration is attempting to get a mic there, a wireless mic. So for the viewers at home who know that they can hear us and not administration, we are working on getting those mics live. However, if we don't, we'll always have a video with printed minutes if anyone wants to watch the replay. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion to recess. Motion by Mr. Pearl, second by Mr. Serapio. Lose your lights, please.
That carries unanimously.
That's carried unanimously.
Is he not taping the meeting right now? I think it's still going. Okay, we need to go back. Your motion to go back into finance.
Need a motion to go back in the finance meeting? A motion, Mr. Perilou. Second by Mr. Becknell. Use your lights.
That carries unanimously. Okay.
Okay, Deron Cooper.
Yeah, Deron Cooper, Michael Tab.
Adds 90 days to the contract time and $49,293.95 to the contract cost. This is due to labor and materials needed for the safe room utilities and the sewer installation, executive break room modifications, and dorm wall modifications. The change order was reviewed and approved by and the administration recommends approval.
Okay, we heard from administration. Have a motion by Mr. Wright and second by Ms. Hotard. Any discussion?
Yes. Exactly what the changes are, and we haven't started with the other.
Some of the changes, I mean,
In some detail.
in some detail, we can get the actual change out on that.
Like an executive break room, what is that?
That's an upstairs break room that we added to the administration level of the floor, on the second floor, the administration level for the executive offices. It was an addition to the plans.
It's an executive break room. We added another room.
Correct. No, we didn't add it, we just modified an existing office space, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
It's just an office space there
That we just added. Right, so we looked at the plans real hard, we wanted to make an executive break room for the parish president and executives on that level.
And what was the cost of that?
For the executive break room, it was $12,538.28.
Everything else has something. And the sewer thing, what we do with the sewer, we didn't have a sewer system set up?
Yes.
I don't remember the
That was
email
for
like
the,
we're
oversight. Actually, it was for the installation of the sewer, fire line, and water line for the safe room. That connection would have to run across, the new parking area was gonna be laid for the new complex building. And we wanted to do it now rather than later, because if we were waiting until we started the construction of the safe room, the parking lot would already be full. You would have to come back and rip up the whole new parking lot to get those lines installed. So it's more value to do it right now at this point while the land is disturbed, and we had a contractor on site to do it. That was what, the sewer, the utilities was, the installation was for.
Mr. Malik?
So this, the executive break room wasn't initially put into the plans?
No, sir.
Okay, so the $12,000 for, I think it's a wall of glass?
No, that,
No, this is the plumbing, the sink, and the cabinets and all that stuff? Okay. Where was this, the glass going?
the glass storefront doors are also on the administrative level on the second floor. After we start really looking at the building, once we got the walls up and everything, it's for additional security measures. so you won't have the public being able to access walking directly into your parish president's office, the CAO office. So some additional doors that we added on the second level with card access. So it will stop, people from just wandering through the executive hallway of the administrative level of the floor of the building.
Okay, and I think it was, yeah.
You finished,
Yeah.
Mr. Malik? Mr. Madare?
Only question I had, I mean, all these change orders, I mean, we designed this building and we didn't think about those, not the break room, I can understand the break room, but there's other things that we just talked about. I mean, why we didn't think about that before? We had a long time to design this building. I can understand the break room, office, extra office, and you're gonna put a, break room with that, but these other security measures and stuff, that should have been already in the plan.
Well, actually, Councilman, my dad, when I was doing a walkthrough during the construction, we look at plans sometimes and reality is kind of different. Things work kind of differently when you're actually inside of the actual facility. And I made the recommendations, to Michael to add these features, because we saw it would be, a breach or it would be problematic. So I made the recommendation. We looked at it. I brought it to administration. We discussed the matters, and we did see the need for it.
Well, I'm not questioning the need for it. I'm just questioning the timing. I mean, that should have been laid out in the original design of the building itself. Okay, I'm not questioning the need for it. I'm just questioning the timing. It should have been already in there, and it wouldn't have been a change order. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like I'm gonna build a house now. This side I'm gonna put all of a sudden this side I'm gonna put a kitchen in. I mean, I should already been in it.
This is just to add an additional layer of security. We have security measures in there already. And what Deron and them looked at when you went out into the actual space, what we're trying to do is add an extra layer of security for people who are visiting, let's say, the grants officer in the space. You have to go through a secure door to get to their office, but if they leave their office, they down the back hallway, which is secure. In essence, that you had to get back there. If somebody doesn't escort that person out, it's another layer of security that's added for the administrative staff.
I understand that, okay? I still stand by what I said. All that should have been done and taken care of in the plan, the initial plan. I understand that, okay? I mean, we had to make an adjustment where we collect our water bill at. We had a security guard with no gun, okay? And we had to end up changing it to a security guard that had a weapon. Okay, so I'm just saying, we living in different times now. So when people design building now, they design it with the idea of security and all these things that you're talking about. I'm just saying all that should have been thought of and done beforehand, and not come back as a change or they end up being extra money. That's the only thing I'm saying. Moving forward, any other building,
I have to say something. I think, Councilman, I can understand your point, but understand that these drawings was done in 2008. And again, when we did that walkthrough, we noticed that when someone gets off the elevator, and I guess you would have a greater appreciation if you walked in the building, did a walk through the building, then you would understand why we made that decision. And again, maybe it should have been done, but again, when we did that, we got off the elevator, and if someone is coming to meet, as he used, a grants department or anyone else, they will be wandering around in the building. So when we made that decision that we can put those doors up there for security purposes, that's how we made that decision. So again, I'm not sure what the thought was in 2008, but here we are 10 years later, and we made that decision. Okay? Yeah. Thank you.
I'd just like to ask a question, and I don't want you to take it the wrong way, but who did you talk to about the security for this building after the building was designed, while it was being designed? Did anybody do a checkpoint of the total security of the building?
At the time, in 2008, we had a consultant at the time that worked on it, and that's why we have the security doors where we have it, and we have the back hallway, which allows administration and staff to circulate without having to interact with the public the way we have it designed right now. this is a secondary layer of security. If somebody that is visiting somebody else is not escorted out properly, like what we have in our original design, this is what this came about. If somebody in the grants office says, okay, I'll see you later, and doesn't escort that person out to the main lobby, which is the public space, then you have this potential for a security breach with somebody going into the parish president or the CAO or somebody else. So this is a secondary layer. Yes, we did have consultants that helped us with this. That's why we have all the security doors, all of the camera locations, everything that you see in the building. Well, not yet, but you will see in the building.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wright?
Thank you. I just want to make just a generic comment. The original building concept was started in 2008. However, from 2010 until we put this out for bid, at the administration's request, have made multiple revisions and redesigns of the building. So I know we've spent an awful amount of money redesigning this building. So just from the public standpoint, this is why we are asking these questions. So yes, this should have been caught in one of the many redesigns. You know, obviously I'm going to support it because we do need it, but with the amount of money that we've spent redesigning it over the course of 8 years, well, maybe 6 years, it should have been caught.
Okay, Mr. Malik, I'm sorry.
And this is a general comment, is I think the revised statute allows us to actually go in for bid instead of assigning, instead of paying for the change order. Because, I mean, $12,000 put a sink in and a cabinet, you know? What is it, 33, 2222, something like that? It's an easy citation. So, $12,000 seems like a lot of money to put a sink in.
Ms. O'Toole?
I'll allow Mr. Tapp to answer Mr. Malik's question if that's okay.
Okay, to put the sink in is $4,000. That's to run all of the underground, not underground, but to get in the ceiling, reroute all of the plumbing from where it currently is located, which is nowhere near the new break room that is proposed and requested by administration. And then you have $2,000 for the casework and the quarry and countertops that are going in there. You also have, it's $2,400 for all of the casework. It's $1,800 for the solid surface material that goes in there. And then you have the subtotal of $10,351 is the subtotal, and then you have the contractor's overhead and profit that's added on top of that, just to give you an idea.
Changing the location of the building, perhaps changing the location of the break room so it's more cost effective.
That was the spare office that was built in on the project, and if administration would like to change the location.
Mr. Madair?
I don't think changing the location could change the $12,000 to put the other stuff in there. What my concern is, where is the nearest break room? The administration would have to go to, where is the nearest break room? Elevator trip down?
No, it would be, they have another break room which is situated for the employees on that floor. It's kind of hard to say it without the the mic's on.
Yes.
Okay. It's within the vicinity of the proposed break room. It's kind of like around the corner. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain without the drawings or anything.
But in other words, it's
kind of short. But
words,
anywhere you would move to do this, you would still have to do some modifications.
No. I mean, if there's an existing break room, there's an existing break room on that floor, right? So administration would have to just take a walk to that break room.
Well, the ideal of it is, I mean, is to have, for your administrator where they can have their own private break room.
That's $12,000 just for a little private break room. I don't know. You know, I mean, we're all in this together. We all be in office together, so I can't see why we all can't break together. We all work together, we all break together. I don't see why we have to spend an additional $12,000 just to put in the break room. You know,
I
we could use $12,000 on something else. You know what I'm saying?
Ms. Laverne?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if the word private
break room is the right word. I think it was we had a reason for doing that, and not in a reference that we wanted to separate ourselves from our employees. But again, the decision was made in reference to having this break room, but it not in the term of saying, defining it as private.
I understand it's not saying private, but I mean, it will be. It will be if it's built.
Mr. Snyder?
I'm just wondering, why do I need a break room if I got an office? If I got a private office, why do I need a break room? I don't quite get that part of it. And is there a restroom near where everybody can get to a restroom?
Yes, there's restrooms on the floor, yes.
A couple of restrooms, am I right?
Yes.
Yes. So, and this office that we make it into a break room, it was what before?
It was an office, space.
And since we don't have
Additional
anybody
office,
put in there right now.
Correct.
We decided to make it a break room.
correct,
And that break room got, utilities in, water running in.
correct.
It will.
No, it will.
Okay, so. That's for the $12,000. So
For
if
the
we decided
modification.
we don't need a break room, we'll save $12,000. Am I right there? Might save some other money too.
Okay, I have a question.
Is that right?
Correct.
I'm sorry, Mr. Snyder. What's the square footage of the break room?
What's that room size?
The room size is 18 by 18, 18 feet by 18 feet.
The office was originally for the finance manager. And then once again, as Ms. Laverne was talking about, once you start walking through the building itself, you realize that the finance manager was a good ways away from all of her from all the the accountants. So at that time, it was determined that she wanted to move, or the finance manager wanted to move closer to her people that she's going to deal with on a daily basis, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, as opposed to being in that hallway. So then that office became available. And then as we tried to move people around, no one wanted to be in that hallway necessarily far away from their people, because again, that office just separates them from any of their people. So that was the main reason why now all of a sudden that office is vacant. So then the thought was, because it's down the executive hallway, it's a large office, it's almost now becoming a waste of space. And the reason why it's so large is just because if you look at the drawings, you can see where the two hallways meet. It's just the nature of it had to be that large, or break it up into multiple offices, but just by the nature of the design of the building, it had to be that large. So now you have this large room that ultimately is empty. So.
Thank you. Mr. Wright and Mr. Mather.
Thank you. So when we decided to build this building, the thought process behind it also was thinking towards the future. So we're making this decision based off of current needs and not future needs?
Yeah, this building, you are correct, Councilman Wright. We have other offices for growth. So no, we are also looking to the future as well. So in particular.
But the decision to turn what would be a possible vacant office into a break room is because of current need, basically, what it boils down to.
I wouldn't say that, Councilman, because we have a number of offices for growth. So I think we have how many offices? Maybe 6 or 8, maybe, or
There's
less.
about 12 empty offices. At
6
this point in time.
offices that will not be occupied, and that the purpose for that was for the future growth.
And I will say this, as Councilman Snyder alluded, yes, we all have private offices, which is fine. Sometimes you do want to leave your office to go and have lunch. Some of the issues that do arise sometimes when the parish president is trying to eat lunch in a public break room, as she does now, you get a lot of employees in there and they start asking questions. And asking questions and asking questions, and sometimes she just feels, okay, I just want to eat my lunch as well, and relax a little bit.
That's
so
what
that
I call
was
an
one
open
of the
door policy, even with your own employees.
Understood. But when you start looking at, just sometimes you do want to be able to eat lunch without interruptions.
Well, that's what you have an office for.
I'm sorry. Fair enough. So.
Yep.
Mr. Mather?
Yes, Mr. Wright mentioned the building was designed with some growth in mind, and you mentioned the reason why that office space is vacant because it's too far away from the rest of the accounting office.
It's not that it's too far away, but there was offices available closer to her people. So the finance manager decided, hey, I'd like to move closer to my people because again, she deals with them
Right,
multiple times a day.
And I don't have a problem with that, but that should have been, or that should have been in the design already, just like what I said about the break room, should have been in the design already. Also about the security, should have been in the design already. Okay, we have a building that we done built. Before we even get in it, we're redesigning it. We're making changes, okay? When you build a building, and before you say go, everything is what I want and what I need. Okay, before we even walk in this building, we're gonna redesign the office space and make it a break room. We're gonna redesign some security and make it more secure. When we had a consultant that was supposed to be looking at, okay, so the consultant walked away and he should have some responsibility why he didn't catch that. Okay, he should have caught it and he should have paid for it. Okay, that's what he was hired for, to make sure that we don't have this kind of problem. Okay, we're redesigning a building that was designed, okay, to make things better. Okay, that don't look good, okay, and come back with money, you know. And like Mr. Wright said, I understand the parish president, when you become parish president, you become totally public. Okay, they catch you at the parking lot, they catch you at the store, anywhere in Walmart, you gonna face questions. Okay, so, and if you don't want, then like you say, you stay in your office and eat your lunch, okay? But I definitely, I got a problem with redesigning something we designed already.
Ms. Hotard?
This is just to me, in my head, settle the redesign. I've renovated my house 3 times, and each time I said, I know what I'm gonna do better next time. Every time, the minute you start, you say, darn, why didn't I think about this? Things like that happen. I know we have consultants. I can see the need for an extra wall. I can see the desire to wanna change your office. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't spend the money, but how many times you start, you go eat lunch somewhere, the other directors come with you, you end up having a working lunch in the middle of the day. Had you stayed in your office, you might not have met with these people and gotten some things done. I'm just giving you a little inside view. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but there's another way to look at it too. A lot of times, a lot of work comes out of those rooms where you sit and eat lunch together.
Mr. Snyder?
Yeah, it's gonna take 90 days. The 90 days is for that, I'm sorry, the 90 days is for that sewer and the utilities connections.
Correct.
That's the big thing.
No, it's 60 days.
60 days,
just
I'm
for-
sorry.
For that one item.
60 days for that one item, and 30 days for the other item.
For the additional.
They don't
15
go
and 15.
simultaneously, they don't work at the same time.
There's different crafts with.
Well, I
those.
understand
Yeah.
that, that's what I'm saying. You can't be doing it at the same time.
No.
With just 60 days.
No, sir.
No,
So we're gonna do one job and then 30 days, and then we're gonna do the other job.
what it is the 15 days, we'll take it one item at a time. The 60 days is for the delay for getting the work done for the parking lot. All of that work should have been done already, the new parking lot. We had to get FEMA's approval to put the underground sewer and so forth. And that's what the 60-day delay is for the delay in the contractor's schedule of work, having to come back and do the work when he had all his forces here originally. They all had to pull off to be able to come back and do this at a later date. The 15 days for the new break room, that's for the amount of time that it takes to fabricate the cabinets and so forth that wasn't in the original project, as well as getting the sink, the Corian countertops and everything available to do that. The 15 days that you see for the storefront doors, that's for getting and ordering the new storefront doors to be shipped and brought in, installed, and then also for the card readers and all the electrical that has to go along with that to tie into the mainframe, basically the brains of it. So all of this work, they request the days to accommodate those days.
Okay, so the necessary work, which is the necessary work, what I call necessary work, the work that's got to do with the safe room, utilities, and that's about, we're looking at what, $35,000 for that work also.
For the safe room utilities,
Yeah, everything, just for the safe room.
Just for the safe room, it's $14,963.14. That's for this change order here.
For that change order, $14,000 out of $50,000? Out of $50,000? I mean, the rest of the money's for the break room.
No.
You have $14,963.14 for the safe room utilities and sewer. You have $12,538,028 for the break room.
Right.
And then you have, just for the interior walls or interior storefront, for the extra layer of security is $21,792.53.
21,000?
21,000, yes, sir.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Mr. Perlu?
Just quickly, Deron, you and I walked through that building, I think I know which room you're talking about. Can we just put the secure wall in and just leave it as is? Don't put a break room, might use it as an office later, like for maybe DHS or something?
I'm sorry, Mr. Perlu? I missed the
saying,
end part of your
I
statement.
think I walked through that building with you, and I'm trying to visualize the room you're talking about. Can we just put the wall in for security reasons? Don't worry about putting the break room.
Well, I mean,
Use it for
that,
future offices.
the break room is already there. It was like we said, it was an additional office that we had that wasn't being utilized. So we were just trying to maximize the space and use it instead of just having it sitting there as an empty office. You still would have to put, the storefront for the security purpose on both of those
That's what I'm
hallways.
saying, just put the security, secure for the security of the staff and just leave it as an empty office for now.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yes. That doesn't have anything to do with the storefront, the break room modifications. It's separated on the change order. The dollar amounts are segregated for each item.
Mr. Made.
I don't want to beat this all night.
Mr. Made.
Right, last comment on that. I understand what Mr. Perlu said. For the security, I'm for office security thing. For that break room, that empty room, since it's not an office being used right now, just put a couple of tables and chairs in there. Okay, if somebody want to go sit in there and use it as a break room, they can do that without spending $12,000 on it. A lot cheaper. Right? That's what you say we'd have to do, make a substitute motion that would eliminate the break room, and everything else would move forward.
Right, I'm saying there's a motion and a substitute on the floor, so if there's a wish of the council to make that another motion, you would just make a substitute motion that you approve all of the changes, the wall, all that, like Mr. Cooper said, minus the break room.
Yes.
And get a second and vote on that.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we accept everything except. Okay, I'd like to make a motion, a substitute motion that we agree to all the change orders except the one with the break room. I mean, the security of the wall, everything else, make sure the building is safe.
Okay, we need a second. Second by, motion by Mr. Made and a second by Mr. Snyder on this motion to only use the security construction part of that room.
No, it would be.
Everything else is, everything except the break room.
Everything except the break room.
Right.
Okay. And any more questions?
Mr. Sropper, make sure you clarify that's a substitute motion.
This is a substitute motion. Okay, use your lights.
That carries unanimously.
And now we'll withdraw our motion and our second on the original item.
Okay. Okay, next we have is Mr. Blake Fogelman and Oscar Boudreau. Authorization to execute change order number 2 with Lemoyne Company LLC for the wastewater retention pond conversion to wastewater treatment plant project.
Thank you, Chairman. Change order number 2 is the result of unforeseen sludge quantities and temporary burn failures. Additional incidental items were incurred and a decrease in quantities were discovered during construction for a net decrease of $102,239 from the contract price. The change order was reviewed by the parish engineer and the utilities director and approved by EPA funding agency. Administration recommends approval.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Perlu, a second by Mr. Malik. Any questions? Use your lights.
That carries 8 in favor with one absent.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God. Get a motion to adjourn, please. Motion by Mr. Wright, second by Mr. Perilou.
Thank you. Okay, that carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
Okay, St. John the Baptist Parish Council regular meeting Tuesday, June 26th. I need a motion to go back into regular session. Motion by Mr. Mellis, second by Mr. Saraparu. Use your light, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Use your light, Julia. Julia, use your light.
That carries 6 in favor with 3 absent.
6 in favor with 3 absent. Okay, Madam Secretary, will you call the roll? You did it? We already did that? Okay, yeah, we did, sure did. Okay, consent agenda item. Okay, 2 minutes on any item on the agenda from citizen in the audience, public comment. 2 minutes from anyone on agenda items. Okay, moving forward. Consent agenda item. Number 1, approval of minutes June 12, 2018 regular meeting. Number 2, permit approval, 18th annual Independence Day celebration, Tuesday, July 3rd, 6 p.m. at St. Peter Catholic Church. Consent agenda item number 3, permit approval for St. Hubert Church annual festival, Wednesday, July 4th, 2018, from 11 a.m. until 9:30 p.m. Agenda item number 4, lateral bottom appointment of Ms. Iman Montgomery to the Civil Service Board. Okay, entertain a motion for that. Motion by Mr. Becknell to approve, second by Ms. Remedy. Use your lights, please. Oh, any public comments concerning this? No. All right, use your lights, please.
That carries 6 in favor with, no, 7 in favor with 2 absent.
7 in favor with 2 absent. Okay. Next on the agenda is public hearing on ordinance. Okay, the first item is going to leave that table to the next council meeting. Okay. Ordinance 18-18, an ordinance requesting the approval of future extend the valid period of time for conditional subdivision approval for an additional 12 months as pre-St. John the Baptist Parish Code Section 113-117 for Tiger Land subdivision, including the re-subdivision of an undesignated tract of land into Tract A, Lot 1-3, 5, and 7, Block 1, Lot 4 and 6, Block 2, Lot 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, and 23, Block 3 and Lot 8, 10, 12, 1, 16, 18, 20, and 22, Block 4, Tigerland subdivision, Edgar St. John the Baptist Parish, Louisiana, and the dedication of Just Drive and Breezeway Street, which was originally approved on August 9, 2016, as part of pre-conditional approval for the Tiger Landing subdivision, and further extended on July 11, 2017, and to grant a 1-year extension to the construction agreement with JES Construction for the installment of all associated improvement. Okay. Ordinance 18-19. An ordinance amending St. John the Baptist Parish. We got to vote. I'm sorry. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to roll. You ready to roll tonight? Okay. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Council Chairman. Alex Carter with Planning and Zoning. This request is to allow additional time to complete approved plans. According to the developer, water and sewer lines have been installed and construction of the street will begin soon. Administration recommends approval.
Okay, you heard from administration. Motion by Mr. Becknell, second by Mr. Saraparu. Any comments? Okay, use your lights, please.
That carries unanimously.
I carry unanimously.
Okay. She's talking to me.
Okay. All right. Ordinance, make sure I get it right, 18-19. An ordinance amending St. John the Baptist Parish Code of Ordinance, specifically Chapter 16, Fire Prevention and Protection, to modify standards for the construction and ignition of bonfire parish-wide. Okay, Mr. President.
Good evening, Council. This amendment provides the Department of Public Safety the authority to regulate bonfires near heavy industrial sites, marine uses, or activity occurring within, around, or Batcher when weather or other changing conditions pose a threat to fire prevention and safety. Administration recommends approval.
Okay, you heard from administration. And motion by Mr. Saraparu, second by Mr. Peralou. Any questions? Okay, any comments from the public? Okay, use your lights, please. What's your vote?
That carries unanimously.
That carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is ordinance 18-20, an ordinance introducing the annual budget for the Gooseps Fund for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2018 and ending December 31st, 2018.
Thank you, Council. As funding from Phase 2 of Go Mesa revenue sharing funds is distributed to Louisiana recipients, this ordinance establishes a new fund for the grant money. Administration recommends approval.
Okay, you heard from administration. Okay, entertain the motion. Motion by Mr. Pearl, second by Ms. Remedy. Any other comment? Mr. Snyder.
The Go Mesa.
Put your mic on.
Why is it that we're trying to get a new fund established and we already got a fund that can house that, like our levee protection, our
In my opinion, for the
coastal
sake
restoration?
of clean financials, in order to not misappropriate funds and so forth and utilize it for other things that aren't supposed to be utilized for, I felt it was just cleaner to create another account through Capital One, create another fund, so the money that's given to us through Go Mesa is deposited into that account, thereby making it very clean so the public can see it, the money's there, and it'll be utilized only for projects authorized by Go Mesa.
And I do agree with that, and I think this council should look into that and determine what they think might be the best place to put that money. I really think that, what kind of fund we gonna put it in? We just gonna call it Go Mesa Fund?
Alex, can you elaborate a little bit more on what Go Mesa? It can only be utilized for certain projects. There's a certain criteria.
Yeah, I don't have
Flood
it.
protection and
Right.
Restoration.
Restoration, exactly. You're exactly right. So there are eligible activities that you have to fulfill, and there are requirements for how the funds can be spent. And because of those restrictions, we wouldn't want to spend the money on something and then not have it be reimbursed or be approved for spending. So I think this is, as Robert was elaborating.
Yeah, it's just from a financial perspective and accounting perspective to make it very clean. That way we know, or the public knows exactly where the money's going. We see the deposits coming in from Go Mesa, and we can make sure that every dime that was given to us through the Go Mesa project is allocated appropriately.
Right, and each one of these funds has different eligible activities, so it can be difficult to keep track of all of them. So it's just to help simplify these processes that together can be very complicated.
Well, I still think we're gonna have some input to this, and we need to think about it a little bit. What might be the best place for that money? We taxing our people right now with money for levee protection, flood protection. We know we got erosion problem with the coastal erosion. We got problems back there. That's why I'd rather see it put in one of those funds where we can only use it for things like that. And I know that's all we can use it for anyhow.
Yeah, and I don't think administration would be against that either way. We just felt it initially was deposited into roads and bridges. That's just the way the funds were set up. We're not sure exactly why, but that's just what the federal government decided to do. So we wanted to get it out of public works, out of roads and bridges, and make sure that it was put into its own account, own fund. That way we can make sure that we can see the money and make sure we don't, again, misappropriate the funds.
Yeah, that's somewhat, but I just, I don't know.
Yeah, again, I mean, I don't think it wouldn't be, we wouldn't be against putting it into a different fund if that's why you all decided to do it. We just wanted to, for the sake of transparency, make sure things were clean and clear.
Well, we can always switch it back around later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank
Just as long as it's utilized appropriately per the grant.
Exactly.
Right.
Mrs. Robert?
Just one question on that, Mr. Robert. Is this an annual deposit that's made, or it's made based on us putting an application in to get these funds?
I am not quite certain. However, I do know in the past, since 2013, we actually been allocated funds. One year was a couple $100. Another year was like $1,300. So what we're going to do is probably on the next set of budget amendments, we're going to take that money. I think it was a total of about $20,000 over the past from 2013 to 2017 that Go Mesa distributed to us. And we're going to move that money once we realize that money was coming into different funds, because for some reason it's just it gets deposited into accounts that we just have to find sometimes, because it's not very clear coming from the federal government, unfortunately. But it's been small amounts. This was the first large amount that we received, so therefore we wanted to separate the funds.
Thank you.
Do we know how much it's gonna be yet?
Yeah, the original allocation, it's in here. It was a deposit of $559,531.
That's what St. John getting.
That's correct. That's what we received. And again, that went to roads and bridges, so we wanted to make sure quickly remove that and put it into its own fund to make sure it didn't get misappropriated.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sarapu, you had a question? You finished, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments from the audience? Okay, use your lights, please.
That carries unanimously.
That's carried unanimously. Okay, next on the agenda, is ordinance 18-21, an ordinance amending ordinance 18-06 relative to the annual operating budget for St. John the Baptist Parish Economic Development Fund, Fire Department Fund, Isaac CDBG Fund 2009, General Obligation Bond Fund, and the 2015 General Obligation Bond Fund for the fiscal year beginning January 2018 and ending December 31st, 2018.
Thank you, sir. These amendments reflect changes to estimated revenues and expenditures for 2018, and the administration recommends approval.
Okay, you heard from administration. Motion by Mr. Begnell, second by Mr. Perilou. Any questions? Any public comment? Okay, use your lights, please.
That carries unanimously.
It's carried unanimously. Okay, next on the agenda is ordinance 18-22, an ordinance amending ordinance 17-50 relative to the annual operation budget for St. John the Baptist Parish General Fund, Animal Shelter Fund, Department of Health and Human Service Fund, Communication District Fund, Public Works Fund, Recreation Fund, 2010 General Obligation Bond Fund, and the 2014 General Obligation Fund, Bond Fund for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2018 and ending December 31st, 2018. Okay, Administrator.
Thank you, sir. These amendments also reflect changes in estimated revenues and expenditures for 2018. Administration recommends approval.
Okay, you're from administration. Motion by Mr. Wright, second by Mr. Perilou. Mr. Snyder.
These estimates, what, to the positive or to the negative?
Most of them are just transfers,
Just
line item transfers. There are a couple of them that were under budgeted, some that were over budgeted. For example, one of the grants, they came back and gave us more money, but then obviously the cost of the project went up naturally. So it's just adjusting those revenues to be more accurate, because again, with our new system, we can no longer go over our budgeted line items. So we have to come to the council in order to adjust those. So these are just, as we see things throughout the year, we move money around for the necessary, events and so forth that to cover the costs.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Any comments from the public? Okay, use your lights, please.
That carries unanimously.
That carried unanimously. Okay, committee reports. That's the motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from the finance meeting.
I have a motion to accept the minutes from the finance meeting, second by Mr. Perilou. Okay, any comments? Use your lights, please.
That carries unanimously.
That carried unanimously. Okay, old business, we have a table item by Mr. Sarapu. You gonna leave that table?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna leave that table. Okay, new businesses, Ms. Natalie Robotham, authorization to enter into an indemnity and hold harmless agreement with the Pontchartrain Levee District for the annual Independence Day celebration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This agreement is required by the Levee Board to host our annual fireworks show in Reserve and Edgard. The agreement was reviewed and deemed to be legally sufficient by legal counsel, and administration recommends approval.
Okay, you heard from administration. Okay, and motion by Mr. Sarapu. Need a second? Second by Mr. Mallett. Okay, any comments? Okay, any comment from the public? Use your lights, please.
That carries unanimously.
That carried unanimously. Okay. Next on the agenda is the Department of Engineering report. Mr. Saraparu, we're going to table this item again? Okay, we're going to leave that table. Okay, Mr. Snyder. Take that item.
Okay, Mr. Mondale, update on drainage and road repair district 3.
Good evening, Council. The following road has been completed: Ash Street, Lendash Lane, West 3rd Street, East 23rd Street, East 26th Street, Mueller's Drive, Pearlou Drive, Sweet Lorraine Drive, Follow Drive, Rockefoot Avenue, Stout Street, East 6th Street, and Route St. John. Cleanup crews are working daily, addressing all completed streets. Once all calls are reconciled, plan for the 2019 road improvement program will begin.
Okay. First of all, I want to start out by thanking Mr. Verdell, Ms. Toombs, and Mr. Chuck Savoy for assisting in this oversight of the road repairs. I think the road pretty much is going pretty smooth. Still have some things that we have to clean up. And I think me and Mr. Savoy will take a ride through Thursday to take a final look at some of the things, especially in District 3. I'm not going all over the parish. I'm going to ride in District 3. The other council people take care of their own. No, I'm just doing District 3. But I want to thank Ms. Laverne for acting quickly when I pointed out something to her on the front of 23rd Street, where we repaired the road and then we actually dug the road up ourselves, looking for a valve. Okay, and I do believe moving forward, anytime we do construction of streets and we know there's valves possibly in front of some of those streets, that we clearly mark them. And I think it's a 50-50 problem that happened this time. The contractor should have seen the valves, and I think someone from the parish end should have marked them too. Okay, so that don't happen. So we actually covered the water valves, and then they had to go back and dig them up. And instead of digging the whole thing across, they made a patch. Okay, so the whole idea of fixing the street is not to have a patch. So that's why I want to thank Mr. Vernon, Mr. Kendricks for acting quickly, and they're going to remedy that problem and take that section out and completely repair it, the whole thing, for it look brand new again. Okay, so I want to thank y'all for that. One thing I wanted to ask you have an update from the previous project? Remember we found that sinkhole on 27th Street?
No, we haven't.
Haven't any feedback from them yet?
Deron is still working on those issues that was brought to our attention.
Right, and I think that company there, they need to get out of here quick, okay? Because it took them 3 years to get out of here. Okay, now they have a sinkhole developing, and I want to hold them accountable for that sinkhole, because I think we may have some more with that sand. Okay, so I want to make sure they don't get away. And I think the obligation run out in October or something like that?
You have a whole year, right?
A whole year, okay. So I want to make sure we take care of that before they get out of here.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it.
Mr. Perler?
Yeah, Mr. Kendrick, Land Lane, they did a good job, because I think that's right, District 4 and Kirk and I split that land. It's really short lane, like from that wall to that wall. It's not that long, but did a good job on it. It's not long, but Mr. Madare said something. When we come across these valves, because he and I talk about it, when we come across these valves and we not know they're there, we dig them up and see them. Don't we respond or send something to Rebecca so she can put that in the system so we know next time?
Yeah,
Isn't that done?
We go take care of that.
Okay, good. That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Yeah, but just one.
Mr. Madare, you want to say something?
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say, what Mr. Perler is saying is exactly right, but what I was referring to was valves that we already know was there, okay, and they wouldn't clearly mark them, and the contractor went over it. So that's why I call that a 50-50 split, because they should have seen that themselves before they asphalted, and I think utilities should have got out there and actually put a red X mark or something there. Okay, now I think what Mr. Perler was referring to, when we find additional valves that have been lost, we need to document those. I think that's what he's saying, but I don't want to cover up in the existing valves.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
All right.
I got something to say.
Yes, sir. Mr. Becknell?
Listen, I want to thank you for the job well done in the West Bank. But we have one exception down these 6, and I appreciate what Ms. Laverne told me. And it would be in everyone's best interest and his administration and the parish interest, because it's a road that's cut across in front of a resident. And that's why we go to this lift station or whatever, and we use it on a daily basis. And the tire marks are going in one of those residents' yard, and it's cutting up that road. So I hope and pray that we find some money to fix this. I mean, to just asphalt that area. I do understand, and we might be over budgeted, but take that into serious consideration, because we need to take this opportunity right now and do this, because all it's gonna do is we're gonna come back, do hot mix, and so let's get this thing asphalted if we can. And I appreciate the effort you're making, Ms. Toombs. You said when Ms. Roboto come back, you'll have that discussion. So I just wanna put it on record that we really need to do this.
Yeah, well, we talking about it on a daily basis.
Okay,
Really trying to get it.
Okay, well, yeah, like I said, just, you know, just wanted to point it out there.
That's it? All right. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Ms. Jacqueline Hotel Junkyard Abandoned Vehicle in Division B.
Thank you, Councilman Madere. And I passed out the pictures. I'm sure Alex has seen it. And this is actually the front of the truck here. You can see the grass that's growing around the tires and the vehicle. And the second page is the trailer that is attached. And these are the pictures here, I guess, for the public. Does it go this way? Yep, it goes this way. And this location has been one, I mean, I've had this on the agenda, I think, for years. And at one time, I believe the resident was moving or something, but that's been years. And I passed over maybe 2 weeks ago at the home, and this is what's in front. And I was told that this is currently not in any violation of any ordinance, any code that the parish has. So I just want to impress on administration that if this isn't in violation of anything, then make a recommendation to us that will allow us to take care of this. Because I promise you that if you park a vehicle looking like this for the period of time that it's been sitting there in St. Charles Parish or in Jefferson, you're gonna have problems on your hands. And nobody wants to be living next to this with the grass that high around the truck. So if it's correct that there's nothing that we can do about this, there's nothing in our code that will claim that this is unsafe, unhazard, a nuisance, anything like that, then come to us with a recommendation to make sure that something like this is. To me, this is a worst case scenario. You know, a vehicle that maybe is unsightly, 2 flat tires. Okay, this is not even close to that. So I don't know if you have any comments you want to add, but definitely if we can't do anything about this, we got to figure out what we can put in our ordinances. And I know that if anybody knows better about how to make our ordinances deal with something like this, it's you. But
I have good news for you. Okay. I actually have a stack of inspections from the last year. We've inspected this site 27 times since July 2017. And I can pass it around if y'all want, but the first picture we have from the last inspection is actually matching what you have. So we know. We had previously tried to write this up or process it as a zoning violation because we had complaints that it was a mechanic shop. Every other week we would inspect it to see if we could document evidence of the mechanic shop working. It's really difficult to prove that. We still went every other week to check. Knowing that it was a nuisance, we actually addressed it in the parking study. So it wasn't just complaints from you. We also received complaints from Councilman Snyder, Councilman Perilou, Councilman Wright, dealing with parking in residential districts generally. So over parking residential sites, heavy commercial vehicles, parking in residential districts. So with the parking study, we actually included definitions for vehicles that included boats, trailers, anything that moved on wheels. And we included a prohibition on heavy commercial vehicles, so that big trailer that you show, that would be something that would be prohibited. And then also included a provision that said, look, you can't have more than 75% of your property that's visible from the street occupied by parked cars, because that's essentially a temporary parking lot or an informal parking lot operating in a residential district that's designed primarily for single-family homes. So looking at it from a use perspective, we don't want informal parking lots throughout our residential districts. And like you were saying, these aren't really junked vehicles, but they are stored long-term or short-term on residential sites. So we have that in effect as of yesterday. So the parking study was approved at the last council meeting. We've met or contacted Jackie and found out, it's effective 5 days after it's been in the paper. So this week we have a list of sites that are in similar positions as this, but we're aware of this one as well, that we're going to look at and evaluate against the new code. So it's already been done. I think we can address it with this. This particular site has had a range of either 9 to 12 to 4 to 3. It shifts how many cars are on site. So, but I do have some additional information about you in terms of the actual property ownership that may be changing, but I won't put that on the public record. But we are aware of it. I'm happy to say that we're going to be able to address it as of yesterday, so this week we're focusing on that. And if any of you all are aware of similar sites, let us know, because previously we really weren't able to address it, but we did look at it in the parking study.
Alex, let me ask this. So with just what's being stored in here, why can't we address this under junkyards and things like that? I mean, it's full of tires, empty gas cans, it's been sitting there. I don't know, I've passed it over a month. Like, why do we have to only attack this from that perspective? Because let's say this was just a trailer with this in there and there wasn't a vehicle, or it didn't cover 75% of the front yard. Like, why wouldn't just this in itself in the front yard, just stagnant, sitting there, not even be covered under junk yard, something like that?
Well, junkyards typically are like really overrun with like trash, debris, barrels, grass growing up, old machinery, old cars, junk.
I almost need a picture example, because
I can
this,
do
everything
that. I can
you
do that
said
for you.
is what is in this yard. Everything that you just said is right here in this lawn.
And what we have documented are a series of cars and vehicles that overpark the site and then have like 3 cars one week, 4 cars the next week, 12 cars the next week. And we always approached it as a mechanic shop. Junkyards are like land uses. They're selling and storing, they're like hoarders. And so it's a different classification. Trash is a different thing too. And there are minor and major cases that we address, and we have been addressing, but this particular case, it is written up for high grass, so it should be cut relatively soon, either by the property owner or a contractor. But, we are aware of it. We've been monitoring it for some time now, and I'm relieved to see that, y'all approved the parking study and we'll be able to look at it from a different angle.
So will that parking study allow you to enforce this from a code perspective?
It's my understanding that we will be able to with
Okay.
this.
Keep us posted with this, because like I said, if we don't have anything on the books that can do anything with this, and or if the implementation of the parking parking study changes don't allow us to, then we know we need to get some in place to.
Right, now that I know you have an interest in this, I'm more than happy to keep you informed of what's going on.
Thank you.
Oh, no, that's it.
Just,
That's it. Mr. Perlman.
and I want to thank Ms. Hotar for putting that on it, because Ms. Carr and I had a discussion today with some of these items, and that's what I wanted, some teeth in the ordinance that we can adopt and say, go after it and make another clean sweep. Because I told you I got a potential on Tiffany Drive in New Era, and plus Grove Park in the Grove. I don't want to get worse.
Right.
So we need to correct that. And over by the Sonic Bar, I think that's Longwood in that area, you may have pictures of that. That's a potential there too, as a mechanic shop. So whatever you want to bring to the council, adopt it to correct that, let's do it. Because we need to clean up the parish. Taxpayers don't need to live inside these problematic areas, and people storing these junky cars all day.
Okay.
So keep us posted.
Mr. Snyder.
Ms. Alex and Ms. Hotar, thank you. It just so happened today, I don't know if this is the same place, because I was talking to a guy and he told me, he said, why did you guys make rules that we can't, that you can't haul junk cars anymore? I said, what do you mean? I said, we didn't do that. I said, we did something better than that, He said, nah, he went to the code enforcement office and it told him that as long as the car got air in the tires, you can store it there as long as you want to.
I would caution against, it's sort
And
of like
they-
the game of
the constant-
telephone.
they told him the
You know,
constant
how
did
many
that.
people have you talked to and how has that message changed since the original speaker? We try to emphasize to the public that there are many characteristics of a junk car. It can be burnt, it can be rusted, it can have a broken window, a flat tire. It could be just abandoned for a series of days. And so, it could be as simple as a flat tire. It could be as complicated as a complete wrecked vehicle parked in your front yard. And there are different ways of approaching them in the code based on the circumstances. So if you just got in a wreck and you parked your car in the driveway, we're going to give you 7 days to figure out what to do with it, right? But if you have vehicle repairs that you're working on your own car, we'll give you 7 days. But after 7 days, you got to put the jacks away and you've got to find somewhere to put it. So there are different ways of approaching it, but there are, and I can send, if there's someone interested in the public that wants to know more about the junk vehicle ordinance, there is a common questions and answers on the website that says about junk vehicles. I would direct them to that. It has the definition of a junk vehicle on it. And, because we did get a lot of complaints or questions about, what if my car is just a little rusted? Does that mean it's junked? And we're like, well, if there are a couple spots, no. But if it's really rusted, yes. And it deals with blight, right? The end goal is that we don't want someone to drive down the street and notice something that would, degrade the character of the neighborhood.
I really think that the only way to get around this is to tag them, give them a ticket, put it on your water bill.
If only it were that simple.
I love to see it happen. That's the only way this thing gonna work.
Put on it.
We can make all the laws we want to, but if I put a tag on that car, if I warn you one time, the next time I put a tag on it, you can see it on your water bill.
Y'all aren't going to convince me to touch the water bills.
Nobody want to mess with water right now.
Just one more comment, Ms. Alex.
We've been playing with this for years.
Our ordinance, does it cover 18-wheeler cabs storing in the neighborhood overnight?
Yeah.
Right.
We need to enforce that.
It does. Anything with a modified body, heavy commercial vehicle, it deals with height, length, that would be over 7 feet. Yes.
Well, I think we need to change our code enforcement officer maybe to work a few days a week or 1 day a week, 4:30 to 8:30. Because they're stored at that time after you get off and pass through the neighborhood. 4:30 to 8:30, maybe once a week a code officer should do that.
We'll put our heads together to see how we can manage that better.
Because 18-wheelers are being stored in neighborhoods, and it shouldn't be.
Okay, hold on. Mr. Sroffman.
Yeah, since we're on abandoned vehicles, when a vehicle is towed away, we pay for the storage of that vehicle?
We do not. We do not. So the tow truck company, they're under like the state statutes on how they have to operate, pick up, notify the property owner of the vehicle, where it is, any tow expenses. If it's not claimed, they have to follow a specific procedure on how to discharge the vehicle. So we don't pay towing rates. The only thing the parish really manages is the fines and the penalties associated with having it be in violation. The tow truck company is responsible for communicating to people whose vehicles are towed, what that rate might be, and what the cost of recovering the vehicle will be with them.
Thank you.
You go. On that property that Ms. Hotar showed you, you say it was written up how many times?
It wasn't written up, it was inspected. It was inspected.
Okay, so inspected for what?
It was inspected, we were monitoring it for a mechanic shop, for a zoning violation, potentially, which...
Okay, so my question is, we don't have an ordinance about trash and blight? Because this thing definitely is trash and blight.
What I can speak to is what's in the actual inspection reports.
Well, what I'm saying is, if a code enforcement go out there, they should be able to recognize trash and blight. Okay, so they went out there possibly looking at a mechanic shop and you see blight and trash, why you didn't write that up? Okay, you see what I'm saying? Don't go over there, don't go out riding blind just because they say somebody say about grass and you pass by blight or you pass by an abandoned vehicle. You see something and it's a violation, you stop and write it up. Okay, now that thing was written up 26 times and it's clearly trash, it's clearly blight. It should have been written up for that too, on the spot.
Well, and I'll just speaking generally, most of the inspections that I'm seeing are just pictures of the cars parked in the driveway, and there really isn't any trash on the site. When there was high grass, it was recently written up. But I will make sure that our inspectors are reminded that should the complaint be about one thing, they shouldn't be ignoring potential other violations while they're at the site.
Yeah, show them this picture and show them what trash look like. Okay. Just one other thing too. I'll make like a comment about those abandoned cars and junk vehicles. Okay, the only one that complain about this rule are the ones who actually have the junk vehicles and the trash. Okay, the people who are law-abiding citizens that don't break these laws, they don't complain. The ones who complaining about the law are the ones who are actually breaking the law. Okay, and I had one person told me, that his property. I said, yeah, but you don't own the property next door or the one across the street from you. So those people don't have to live the way you want to live. Okay, and this whole thing is about making the parish better. Okay, and we have 2 times of the year where we have parish-wide cleanup. Okay, so it shouldn't be just twice a year, it's every day. It's an everyday process. Okay, and I definitely agree with Mr. Perilou about those 18-wheelers. Okay, I just have some street that we fix in my district. Okay, and it made for SUVs, cars, ambulance, police cars. Okay, but not 18-wheelers. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Next on the agenda is Mr. Thomas Malik, discussion regarding the terms and condition of the proposed low-interest loan, including the payback.
Thank you, Councilman. Through the LDEQ Clean Water State Revolving Fund program, the parish has been pre-approved for up to $6 million in a low-interest loan for new smart meter technology with leak detection. It is a 20-year loan at an interest rate of 0.95%. It will be repaid through a current 1% sales tax with annual principal and interest payments of $330,840. Once a decision is made to move forward and the site certificate is signed by the DA's office, the loan application for closing will be submitted. Once the loan is closed, the project can be advertised for bid. Principal and interest payments on the loan begin 2 years after closing. Only interest payments will be due for the first 2 years.
Okay, you hear from administration. Mr. Malik?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. At 1700 today, we had a meeting specifically on this. However, there was still a lot of people that wouldn't have been able to get home in time to watch it, so I just wanted to have the administration read that in just to answer any questions. And more specifically, what the length of the loan and the interest rate, the rate of interest rate. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir.
And just for further clarification, this is a current tax. I know we had that question earlier in the workshop.
Yeah.
This is not a new tax. This is a current tax that is currently in place.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is Ms. Julia Remedy, Larry Saraparu, update on the parish engineer on canal permits.
Yes, I'd like Mr. Joseph to step forward and give us a little report on that, please.
Well, I am finally pleased to announce to you that we have obtained the necessary permits for the canal snagging and clearing. That is both the Army Corps of Engineer permit and the Department of Natural Resources permit. That is for the 36 canals listed for clearing and snagging. I have also obtained the Department of Natural Resources permit for the 6 canals that are under dredging. I received correspondence late this evening about 4:30. I checked my email and I'd gotten a response back from the Army Corps of Engineers regarding that permit, and they said they are working on it and it should be issued shortly. They did not indicate a time, but she did say she would get back to me within the next couple of days. So I'm anxious to await that permit, but to let you know, we do have the permits and we are ready to move forward as far as anything. In other words, the parish can now move forward with prioritizing, and then, of course, budgeting and all would have to be set before anything can be done. But the permitting is in place.
Thank you. Ms. Laverne, just wanted to ask about that. Can we have the equipment to do most of this ourselves, don't we? No?
Well, matter of fact, Mr. Savoy and I had that conversation earlier today, and so what we're going to do is meet and look at the, the canals, prioritize and evaluate what equipment that may be able to do it in-house. If not, then we have to look at going outside or maybe bid out a contract for the services to be done.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll get together soon And of course, we'll keep you all involved.
And
or
we will
abreast
be
of what's
meeting
going
with
on.
administration as there are some stipulations in the permits with regards to certain equipment being used, and if the parish does not have that equipment available or the manpower available to meet those requirements within the permit, then it would have to be contracted out either by bid or some type of selection process.
I know the last time we dredged canals, I believe there was an issue with what the sludge that came out of it, what we could do with it. I think there was some problem with that in the District 2 area, so.
Right,
Oh,
and
sure.
that's all addressed in the permits themselves.
Okay.
I will let you all know these permits are good for a period of 5 years from the date of issuance, which I believe they dated them up. I'll double check, but I believe the actual dates that they put on them was June 6th. So they're good for a period of 5 years from them. It is recommended that you allow administration to pursue extensions once you hit the 4-year period. These permits can be extended multiple times, and therefore you don't have to keep going through this process. But
Right.
you must request the extension prior to 6 months of their expiration, or you're then forced to go through the entire permit process again. And one of the reasons we wanted to do it this way is that we now have only 2 permits to track for all of the canals that are listed.
Okay.
And I will keep you updated. I copied you on the email that I received late this evening. As soon as I have approval on the remainder, I will let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Joseph, you touched on my next question when you mentioned about the equipment that we're gonna need.
Yes, sir.
I think the rules done changed on that a little bit. What are the new rules as far as the equipment we can use?
It varies because it depends on the actual canal depth itself. On specific canals where either only clearing and snagging is done, and if it's in a heavily wooded or heavily wetland area, they want only specific types of vehicles, whether that be a floatable marsh buggy is listed in some instances. On canals where dredging is to be done, they're saying that it has to be done by a barge floated in. In other words, they don't necessarily want a tracked vehicle going through the woods per se. For these particular permits, they did ask that we indicate specific access routes for equipment to get in and out, as well as loading sites for removing of the material, as Ms. Ramade said. So there's some specific stipulations that they have now put on these permits. All within reason, I think, to get it done, but they just don't want to allow you to say, okay, well, I'm going to take Canal A over here and I'm going to approach it from any and all angles and just to get it done. They want a specific in and out to getting to that canal, as well as minimizing the impacts you do when you clear and dig it.
Well, most of our inland canals, what category would you think at this time they might come under? Like, for instance, the Vignac Canal or Lanier Canal, or
well,
Canal.
The 2 basic stipulations that they put in here in general overall is they don't want, on the clearing and snagging, they basically want that by a floatable excavating machine. And
Clearing and snagging?
Yes, clearing and snagging, yes, sir. Generally, they want that done by a floatable excavator to come in the canal and bank. They would simply have a specific area to bank the spoils, load them, and then haul it out via the access route indicated, as well as we have loading sites indicated. On the dredging canals, they specify that it can be done with a floatable excavator and or a barge, as long as the depth of that said barge doesn't exceed a certain amount. I believe in this case it's about, I want to say somewhere around 2.5 foot of draft of the actual barge itself. That nature, that's the 2 general stipulations that they've placed on us in this case, but that's typical for these types of permits and dredging of this type, or even clearing and excavation of this type.
So the excavator itself got to be on a barge?
Yes, in some cases. Yeah, but if it's what they consider, like I said, a floatable excavator, that's it's a tracked machine that actually can enter the canal and float in the canal itself, and once they get to the point where they want to dredge, they basically fill the barge with water. It sinks to stabilize itself, and then it does the excavation in that manner.
And the reason why I was asking this question, I know we're in the market for a machine, and I think we got bids out, or we've got the bid. Am I right here, somebody? Public Works? A marsh buggy or something like that?
No, not for the marsh buggy. We did that for the bucket truck.
Well, was a bucket truck? Okay, with a marsh buggy. Because I understand we were thinking we'd get another one of those, or a large one.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna keep all that in mind, though. You know, with these permits, we got 5 years on them, and, you know, I guess where we get the bang for the biggest buck, as far as which one we gonna get, you know.
Well, Mr. Kendrick and I, and the Purchase and Procurement Director looked at some marsh buggies. Of course, it was kind of new at what we were looking at because it's the excavator and marsh buggy. And the way that he explained it, and Mr. Kendrick, you can come and elaborate a little bit more if you like, in reference to what Joseph is talking about. This particular machine actually floats, but it is quite expensive. I can't remember how much, but it is a very pricey piece of equipment.
But as Ms. Toombs indicated, that's something when we meet with them to prioritize the canals, we can indicate which ones, and if the parish has the manpower or equipment to do the work, then fine, we can prioritize it that way. If it's something that we deem they don't have the manpower nor the facilities to do the dredging, then that's something we can categorize as that would have to be bid out.
Well, I understand that, but I'm saying we're looking at buying a marsh buggy, and I want to make sure we get something we can use with these canals. We got 5 years on them. If we got to do some more the next 10 years, we still got to use under the same rules as far as that is concerned with the buggies themselves.
Yes,
so
sir.
to make sure we, get the biggest bang for our buck. That's all.
Yeah, the marsh buggy, from my understanding, and the excavator together would be almost $400,000.
Mr. Rappaport.
Yes, Joseph, you said 6 canals. What are the 6 canals that's coming?
I apologize, I don't have those 6 canals with me tonight, but I will get them and email them to you. I have a list of the 36. I can call those out if you like.
But you did.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. I'd be remiss to tell you, I've got
I understand.
47 names in my head, so to tell you which one of those 6.
And those are pending for approval pretty soon.
They are pending approval from the Corps only at this point. We have approvals from DNR in place.
Okay, and you have any estimate number what it's going to cost to dredge those canals?
At this time, no, I do not.
So who's going to be responsible for doing the overall spec on dredging?
That's going to be something that once we meet with administration, they can make that decision.
Okay. Have Pontchartrain Levee Basin ever assisted us in dredging canals since you've been here?
They have done so in the past.
So we could look at possibly a partnership with Pontchartrain to do some of that work without going out for public bid to save some money.
I don't see why that couldn't be requested of the
I'm
levy district.
I'm asking because I don't know. This is my first rodeo.
It has been requested and done and partnership with the levy district in the past. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next on the agenda is Mr. Sarapuru, request for RFP and bid document to be reviewed and approved by legal counsel and council before publication.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. These are functions of the executive branch, specifically the Director of Purchase and Procurement, and additionally reviews would only serve to complicate and delay an already lengthy process. When needed, guidance is requested and provided by the state agencies whose job is to provide that guidance. The DA's office is one of the 3 options for providing legal advice to the parish government, and the role does not include approval or disapproval, administrative operations, and procedures. There is a need for someone other than existing department staff who works cooperatively with administration on a daily basis to draft or amend legal documents, resolutions, and ordinances. If you are attempting to assist administration, create of a legal department or approval of full-time special counsel to provide the department legal guidance to the executive branch will go a long way towards facilitating the work being done for the parish. As previously noted, the amount of work required to conduct the business of the parish have increased and requires a full-time person who could provide more time and effort on a regular basis. We would gladly draft a job description or compile a list of duties and responsibilities needed to provide legal guidance on a daily basis.
Yes. The reason I put this on, and I need to make sure everybody fully understand, this is not just because the grass contract was rescinded. I've been wanting to put this on for a number of times, but the RFP, I think as councilmen, we are asked to vote on the RFP. I think we should have some input. I think we're the one that's talking to some of the business people that's putting bids in, some of the people that want to do work with the parish and the community. I think we should have some input, and I'm not saying legal is going to tell us what's right or not right. I think it's just a guidance. It's a way of having some input and a form of unity within the administration and this council. I'd like to submit a motion that we give the administration direction to carry out these orders.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Sarapro. Okay. Okay, that motion failed for lack of a second. He want discussion. He just want to discuss it.
It's still
take a
voting.
vote on it. Okay, so you want a second? Okay, for discussion. A second for discussion. Okay, use your lights then.
No, it's just
The motion was to give a directive to administration, so the second cannot, be for discussion. The second can be to Mr. Larry's motion, and then we discuss it. That would be proper, or just simply, discuss it. But if you have a motion on the floor, you have to have a second or some subsequent action to make that still a live motion.
Yeah, so what it is that you want to do with it?
I just wanted to
Right, after he seconds it, we can have discussion. We don't
Okay.
need to vote on that
Right,
motion.
okay.
It would be proper to have the discussion.
All right, so we have a discussion on, okay. Mr. Baker?
Okay, no, what I wanted to say, with all due respect to the administration, it's not like Larry is saying we want input in it, no. And as far as a businessman, as far as I'm concerned, I think he just wanted us to, like if you're sending an RFQ out, RFP for the grass cutting, just let us review it. It's not like we're gonna come and tell y'all, hey, I think this clause is wrong, that clause is wrong. I think it's just a right to let us just review it. That's all. It's for reviewing purpose. I guess, like I said, I don't think input too much because I don't want to step on the administration toes as far as how they do their business. But he just wanted us to have the right to just look at it before you put it out. I don't know. You understand? I'm confused.
I'm not understanding when you look at the RFP or a bid, if you would understand the actual RFP.
Yeah.
To be able to make what decision?
Well,
That's
what
my
I'm saying,
question.
yeah.
I don't understand that.
Thank you. I'm gonna address that comment first because I felt it was condescending. I didn't appreciate it. That's my personal opinion.
no, it wasn't.
However, when I read the RFP documents and the bid documents, I oftentimes find the mistakes. And I knew that we were going to have issues with the grass cutting RFP when it went out because I actually knew what I was looking at. And I would like to believe that my fellow council members do actually know what they're looking at. And if they are not sure about what a clause says in an RFP or a bid document, they can pick up the phone and find out. So to make the suggestion that if someone on this council did review it, that you're not sure if we would understand or know what we're looking at, that's just my personal opinion as condescending. I actually believe that the administration, not everybody, but some of the members of administration probably doesn't know what they're looking at because I find problems in some of those documents all the time, and especially as a member of the Contractors Licensing Board, and I'm very familiar with bid process, I'm very familiar with RFP process. I see many errors, and I don't believe it falls on our purchasing director right now because a lot of the documents that we do have are old, and so it's kind of reissuing some of those same documents, but many of them are problematic. And grass cutting was just a scratch on the surface of all of the problems, and I'll leave that there. One of the questions I have, and Councilman Sarapro, to your motion, the reason why I can't really support that motion as it stands, I think adding a layer of us having to actually but approve a bid document, I think that would be a little bit cumbersome. We do authorize the documents every RFP and every bid document, we authorize it. The good thing about bid documents is they do have, I guess, a check and balance system that if you do have errors or flaws in your bid documents, low bidders and everybody who's in the process has a right of a protest, if you will, to challenge bid documents, so there's a good check and balance. I think, I don't remember who it was, it may have even been mine a couple of years ago, introduced the motion or the resolution requiring administration to actually get our approval before RFPs go out. So for a while we were always approving the RFPs to go out, then the administration had discontinued seeking council approval, and I believe it was my resolution or my ordinance requiring them to come back to us to approve RFPs going out. That puts the council on notice, hey, we got an RFP coming, you need to take a look at the the RFP documents, and if you see some problems in it, then you can, maybe talk to administration about it. The good thing about bid documents is that they're always required to come to us. We always have to authorize bids, so whether it's bids and RFPs, we automatically have to do that. So requiring that extra step, especially if it's something routine like chemicals and things like that, we don't want to hold up these annual bids on making us have to approve, all of those documents when we actually authorize them to all go out. I think it's an extra step. Having legal involved, I think, is a good option. It says here that the DA's office is one of 3 options for providing legal. I didn't know we had 2 other options for legal, but I'm sure administration can answer that. And then secondly, where it says here that if we are attempting to assist administration in creation of a legal department, I just want to let the council members know, and especially new council members, the charter is something else I do understand very well. The creation of a legal department would be the creation of a true department. And so if the council chose to do that, we would also get a department head at the head of that department, which would be a recommendation by the administration. We would confirm a department head. The reason why we've never really done that is because then you could set up a system where you have a legal department, the head of the legal department who is a member of administration. And we've always wanted to have legal representation that wasn't biased. Naturally, the way that our system is set up from the United States government all the way down is you obviously have a check and balance system. You got a legislative checking your executive and checking your judicial to keep everybody in line. If you have your legal advisor to the parish hired by and representing administration, then I believe you lose some of that check and balance. That's my personal opinion, and that is what creating a legal department would do. It would make it like Department of Public Works, Department of Human Resources, same thing. What administration could do, and they know this because the council has done it, if they truly believe that they need to hire legal counsel for one specific purpose, if it's drafting of contracts, the proper thing to do would be to come to the council and ask for us to hire legal counsel for one specific delineated purpose. It could be drafting contracts. They would still work in conjunction with the district attorney's office. I'm not saying this is the way to go. I know that administration knows all of the processes that are available. However, creating a legal department would be a disaster, okay, because of the way that it would have to be created. So I just wanted to give that background as well. But you can also, if there's one limited specific purpose that you need legal assistance with, that option is available as well. So then you know that this person can only assist in drafting up the contracts if administration believes that this is where they need some day-to-day assistance on. So I just want to throw that out there. But before I finish, if Ms. Toombs can answer the other 2 legal options that they have for providing legal advice. What are your other 2 options?
Sure. Before I answer that question, Councilwoman Hotard, I'm very respectful, and I did not mean that to be condescending. I carry myself in a very professional manner, and I respect those that are in authority. What I meant by that, and not in a way of belittling anyone's intellect, basically is to say that the RFP bid process is very difficult. If you don't do this on a daily basis, you may not understand the documentation that you have in front of you. So that's what I meant by that. I did not mean that to say that you or your colleagues are knowledgeable or don't know the process. It is somewhat difficult, so that's my purpose for that comment. In reference to your question, the other options is that we do follow the public bid law. So if we have some questions regarding that, we do call the state agencies. We also work with a number of federal agencies, as you are well aware, like CDBG and LCDBG. There's a process there. So if we don't understand, there's also policies there. So if we don't understand, we also reach out to those agencies as well to give us some guidance. So that's, I believe that in reference to those two options, that's what I meant.
Ms.
Just
Hotel?
to follow up with that, and I'm not certain, maybe that would be a question for our actual legal advisor. It says here that that's one of the three options for providing legal advice. I'm not sure if state agencies or any other agency can provide legal advice to the parish. That would be something I'd lean on our district attorney's office. Can they advise you as to what language needs to be in a document, those types of things? But legal advice, I don't believe you can get any legal advice from anyone other than the actual legal authority of St. John the Baptist Parish.
And I believe that the legal advice that we have received previously from state agencies and federal agencies, we will forward that to the DA's office for their review.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to thank Ms. Hotel for clearing that up for everyone. As far as that legal department, she's absolutely right. You don't want to create another department because that department would be under control of administration, because like all department, public works, every other department, the parish president have complete control over those departments as far as the day-to-day operation of it. So adding a legal department would be in conflict of the charter, okay, because your legal department is separate from administration. So that's would be the problem with having a legal department. Okay, Mr. Saraparu.
Yes, and I just want to clarify my intent and what I mean. I'm only asking something so very simple for a review of the RFP before it goes out and have legal to review it. Now, we got all the technology in the world. Every Tuesday before I come to this council meeting, I get almost 1,000 emails of information that's going back and forth between the administration, legal, and everybody else. All right, I got to take a half a day to read up on some of this stuff. And you mean to tell me we can't, as a governing authority here, that we can't look at and review documents and give you some comments? We need to shut this whole operation down. I didn't ask for a legal department. I asked for a simple review of a document, one document, whatever RFP, whatever bid go out, to give us that consideration. I'm not trying to direct somebody how to do a job. I'm asking for input. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay, Mr. Snyder.
I guess I'm the last one to speak on this one. Appreciate that.
Second and last.
Okay. You know, Mr. Saraparu was talking to me about this earlier today before the meeting started. And the first thing I thought about the fact that the problem we got with Royal Engineer right now. I don't know if it's been brought up. But why do we have a problem with them? Because of our RFP system. Our RFP said for 5 years, we give them a 6-year contract. So now we got people sitting out there, can't get their house fixed because we don't have anybody to facilitate the program. Because of what? The RFP. So just keep that in mind when Mr. Saraparu, what he's trying to ask us here. We can look at it, we can make sure things are in order, but I think it might be good for our legal people to just look at it and make sure things are what it's supposed to be and we're saying what we want to say. And we might not have gotten that problem with Royal Engineer that we have right now going on right now. So I agree with you. We can look at those things and why not?
Well, someone want to comment? Go ahead, Ms. Soto.
Just really quick, and I agree with that. And Mrs. Saraparu, we do get all of the RFP documents and the bid documents before they go out. The only concern I would have is that if the council has to actually approve it before it's going out, it would take, we would have to, yeah, it would take so much time for us to approve those documents. But we do actually receive the RFPs and always the bid documents before they go out. And as it stands right now, we have to authorize any RFP or bid document before it goes out. So you have all of that information available to you before it goes out now. We receive them.
Hey, when we got
Wait,
specs goes up.
hold on. Let's not get out of hand. Okay, you finished, Ms. Oton? Okay, Mr.
No, I was
Snyder.
just wondering if an RFP may have some specs in it. Am I right? Don't they have specs in the RFP? Do we get all the specs for everything we sent out RFP on? Maybe either I read it, didn't know what I was reading.
The purchasing, I'm sorry.
Hold on. Are you finished, Mr. Snyder?
Yes, I'm finished.
Okay.
Thank you, Council Chair. I agree with Councilwoman Hotard. Our purchasing and procurement director always forward all that information over to the council for your review.
But then why are we having this issue? With this, going out, get out of one legal system. Why can't we just say that?
But you might.
Well, also, Councilman, and Mr. Green can elaborate on our conversation that he and I had regarding this item. And we would welcome the DA's office to review our RFP process as far as a template as he did in reference to our professional service contract. Just to review it, make sure that we are following it accordingly legally. So he and I did talk about that briefly. We didn't come to any agreement, but we did have that discussion.
So you're saying he can look at the template?
He can create a template that we can follow just as he did with the professional service contract.
Go ahead.
So we getting the RFPs before they go out, or we get them after they go out? Or when, at the same time, when they go out, then we get a copy
It
of
is
them?
my understanding that the purchase and procurement director forward the RFPs to the council before a council meeting or before you make a decision.
Okay, that's what a snag is.
That's before, not after,
Well,
before.
but that, I don't have enough time to look at it before I vote on it on that same day. I'm asking to look at it, approve it, and legal to look at it and approve it. And I'm asking this council for a motion right now.
Wait, you have a motion. You have a motion already. Well, wait, hold on. Let's just get everything straight before we move on with this motion. I think what you're trying to say is that we receive it the same day of the meeting.
Correct.
Okay, you would like to receive it before
Prior to the meeting.
like a week.
Whenever it's completed. Whenever it's
Okay.
completed, send it to us before it goes out to the public.
May I?
Okay, wait, yes, go ahead.
Councilman, we forward that to you beforehand, and actually, and a lot of times is in your council booklet. And so your council secretary gets your council booklet where you have all that information in there prior to the council meetings.
Yes, I get the booklet on a Friday afternoon.
Okay.
We have a council meeting Tuesday.
Councilman, again, when it comes to the RFP process, this is a very lengthy process, putting this together, and in reference to getting the scope of work, and it's just a very lengthy process. And so we get it to you when we complete it. And so when we get it to you on a Friday, of course, with all due respect, we would hope that you will have an opportunity to review it over the weekend and be prepared for the council meeting on Tuesday.
Let me try to clarify that, what you just said. Okay, it's a lengthy process, and when you finish it, I think what Mr. Saraper is trying to say, he can stop me if I'm wrong. The fact that, let's just say you finish it on Thursday, and we give it to us that Friday, and it's for the meeting that's coming up that Tuesday, he don't figure that's enough time. I think what he's trying to get a point is he's trying to get at least 4 or 5 days before he come to the council. I mean, if you finish on a Thursday and the next council meeting is that Tuesday, what he's trying to say is it shouldn't be on that agenda for that upcoming meeting because they haven't given him enough time to look at it. Basically, that's what you're trying to say? Exactly. So what he's saying is if you finish on a Thursday, then he don't expect you to try to pass that off to the council that following meeting, which would be that Tuesday, that following week. He would like it to go to the next council meeting.
I can understand that as well, but again, we're trying to prepare for the next council meeting. So if we know that it's a contract that or RFP that is up, it takes us at least 3 to 4 weeks to work on that RFP based upon trying to get information. So again, we're trying to prepare for the next council meeting. And so, of course, we have other things that we got going on. We have bids going on. We got RFPs, RFQs. I mean, we have quotes, all kinds of things that are going on in day-to-day operations. So, again, we can try to get it to them as soon as we possibly can, but I can't make any guarantees that we can have it to them 3 days or 4 days before the next council meeting.
Okay, Mr. Wright?
Thank you. Mrs. Sarapu, we already, I think it's more of, again, just review and not approve. You said you wanted to put a motion in to approve, but we already have that authority when they come to us requesting it. And if the council disagrees, we have the ability to amend before we even authorize them to send it out. So I think I would be more inclined to support the motion if it was more for review, but we already have that authority to approve. No, we don't approve the actual document. We authorize it, but we in essence are giving them an approval with the presented document. So we do have that authority to approve already. It's when we're authorizing administration to solicit the RFP.
Okay, Mr. Mallett?
Yeah, the administration sent out the grass cutting about 8 days ago to me, and I thought that was there was enough time. But my objection to it is, I think that this is the day-to-day running of the administration. I think it's their responsibility. I don't think it's ours. I think that the process that we have now is sufficient, and I think that it would bog. I think it would bog the entire process down. That it wouldn't move as quickly.
Okay,
that's just my opinion.
Ms. Hotel.
Thanks, Larry.
And that's kind of where I was going. Many of the items that we do have on RFP and bids are just routine items. And if you look at the actual documents, oftentimes they're lengthy, but the scopes and things like that are the smaller portions. A lot of it is insurance requirements and whatever, different E-Verify and all these other affidavits, corporate resolutions and things like that. That's all standard. The scopes of work, it's really where the the meat is, if you will, in them. So asking to review them sooner, or have an administration, when they do have them available, send them to us as soon so that we can review them, but maybe understanding that what you actually have to read isn't as much as the entire document. I usually pull them all off online, but having a process where we have to approve RFP documents or approve bid documents would slowly, it would pretty much take everything to a halt. So that would be a bit of a stretch. But request an administration to provide documents in a more, I don't want to even say more timely, because sometimes it comes down to the end, or it could just be routine chlorine supplies, fuel, all this kind of stuff is the same thing from year to year.
Okay, if that's the case, I withdraw my motion. I'd like to make amended motion. I'd like to make a motion that we review all the RFP documents before they go out, and have legal to review the documents before they go out. Legal's not reviewing them before they go out. Legal?
How?
Did you come to the mic, Mr. Green?
Currently, legal does not review RFPs or RFQs or any solicitations prior to the administration advertising them.
Okay, Mr. Bagnell, you have something?
Yeah, in closing, I just want to say, with all due respect to everybody, with those RFPs, I deal with them on a daily basis with Fortune 500 companies. And I think what we need to do is kind of like simplify some of these things. Because you see the grass cutting one? I spotted that right away. Right away. You're contradicting yourself. And you see when you got to keep doing addendums, that means you didn't do it right the first time. Addendums means you don't know what I ain't gonna say you don't know what you're doing, but you didn't do it right. Because you see that grass cutting thing? I spotted it right away. There, one clause said you have to send your name, your address, and the bid number, and everything like that. Then the other clause said, make sure you send your name and the contract number. So you're contradicting yourself. So that's all Larry was saying. We're just reviewing it. I can't tell the administration what to do, but I'd be doggone if I wouldn't have called and say, hey, look, y'all kind of like contradicting yourself and certain things like that.
Well, that's why
and that's what I'm saying. I see these bids. I deal with Fortune 500 companies, and you know, and I'm not disrespecting nobody. I think Ms. Stewart is doing a great job, but even the Fortune 500 companies we're dealing with now got the new system called KISS, and that's not even insulting nobody. It's called Keep It Simple, Stupid. And that's what you need to do. Simplify some of these things. And I'm not throwing this for the administration. I'm just telling you. I went to a seminar a year ago, and it's called KISS, Keep It Simple, Stupid.
And
That's KISS.
I like.
Okay, hold on. You go yield to him?
Yes.
Okay,
and-
Mr. Robert.
And Ms. Laverne, you know, you said it was very lengthy, and, you know, I'm thinking in terms of the small business people that's out here trying to make a living, and they got to go through that process. Let's, like Mr. Becknell said, let's try to simplify it. If it's lengthy for them to go through it, it's lengthy for you to do it, take you 7, 8 days, so I can digest it in 4 days. If it takes you 8, that poor contractor's got to go through all that. All I'm asking for is us to have another set of eyes and ears on what you're doing. And I mean, I thought we were living in America. Like, this is not America anymore.
Okay, I think, let me make a comment and maybe we can try to close this out. I think what we trying to get at right now is possibly let legal also review it, okay, and also, like he said, KISS and just make it simple. Okay, I think that's what we want right now. Okay, not necessarily with your first thing you made. I think we add legal into it now, basically. Because right now, legal do not review RFPs and RFQs.
Well, let's go back, Mr. Madare. You know, we have a lot of things that go on right now, and it's always good to get a second opinion. You go to a doctor, you get a second opinion. Mr. Snyder made a good point. When Raw Engineers was here trying to get together on this grant thing we had, I asked to halt the whole contract. I asked to stop dead in the tracks. I didn't get one council member to support me on that. And where are we at right now? I'm asking us to stop, pause, and make it simple, like Mr. Becknell said. If we can't do that, well, we don't need to be doing nothing in this community. If that's what we want, that's the way we want to operate, keep going where we're going. We're going back out for a grass bid right now. That's all I'm asking for. Now, we're all grown men and women here, and if we can't think like adults, we in trouble.
Okay, first of all, okay, I'm going to address that. Every council person here is going to make their own decision on that. Okay, and when they make that decision, they're going to be making a decision as an adult and what they think is best. Okay, so let's clarify that. Okay, and everybody have a different opinion about it. Okay, Ms. Remedy.
I thought you wanted to use my maiden name. I wasn't sure.
No.
Okay, I was just going to say, yeah, sometimes you're going to get it right and we're going to get it wrong. Everybody has those days when that happens. But to add another link and make an RFP go to the attorneys who are already overwhelmed with our legal documents. I'm not saying RFPs aren't important. Why burden them with another thing? We've never required a legal opinion on an RFP unless we're doing something that we shouldn't do. It should be within the guidance of the administration to do those things. I don't want to do those things. I've been on the inside. That's their job, not our job. We do have that opportunity in the book. Most of us are going to skim through these pages and look at that, all the little detailed things we're not going to read. Hear Kurt saying he caught things with the grass cutting. I read it. I didn't really know, but I'm taking his opinion since he's dealt with that before. So to add another level of approval takes away the authority of the administration and ourselves. I think there's a good space between us right now. You sometimes want that. You want to approve every little thing. We'll never get government moving, ever. We'll be on dead center every time. It's burdensome enough. It's just an opinion, but that's how I look at it.
Okay, the last comment, and then we are going to take a motion, take a vote or whatever. Last comment is, administration is responsible for the day-to-day operation of all these things that we're talking about, RFPs and RFQs. Okay, that's their job. Okay, our job is when they bring it to us, either we're going to approve it or not approve it. That's when our authority come in. So we already have that authority to stop it. Okay, to stop it and say no. Okay, we don't need to pump the brakes twice. we have the brakes and the ability to do it when they bring it to us. Okay? Now, we don't want to get in there and start doing Ms. Robotom's job for her or anyone else's job in the department. When they bring it to us, then it's our turn to do our job. If we see a problem, stop it. Okay? And make them go back. So we already have that authority to stop it. Okay? So I don't think adding another set of brakes is going to change anything. We still have that authority as individual council people. If you see a problem or you don't think you had enough time, stop it. And we can stop it with a simple vote at the council meeting. Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor, okay? No more questions?
Just use,
Yes,
just explain to me what we're voting on here again?
Okay, Mr. Sarapu can do that better than I can.
We're asking for a motion for all RFP and bids that go out, before they go out to the public, that we have a review, a review draft to the council and to legal.
Okay, you heard what he's saying?
Yes, and that's no approval or anything?
No, it's not approval, it's not approval.
So if I see something on there, I can call administration, or if legal sees something, they can call administration, but they don't necessarily have to call administration. Is this the intent?
Yes.
No, well, hold on now.
Well, I mean, we don't have to approve it.
I'm not asking for approval, I'm asking for a draft of the RFP for us to have before it goes out to the public.
Okay, don't we get that draft already?
Yes.
We get that draft already.
May I ask a question?
So you want just legal to get that draft? You want legal to get that draft also?
I want legal to get that draft also.
May I ask a question? I'm not clear.
Okay.
In reference to the RFP, is he speaking of the actual document? I mean, I'm not
Right,
clear. Are you speaking of all the RFPs? When people submit the RFPs, those are what you want legal to look at?
RFP that you send out to the public.
For them to submit their
Correct.
information.
Correct.
So the actual document
Correct.
itself.
Correct.
Oh, okay. The actual document.
Correct. I'm not asking for a legal department. I asked for a review of the documents. And now where the legal department came in, Ms. Laverne?
But hold on. If legal review it, you expect a response from legal, don't you? Because it don't make any sense for them to look at it and don't give us a response. Okay, I mean, why look at it if they don't say yes or no? Okay, I mean, just look at it. If it go to legal, they're going to have to say we approve it or disapprove it. That's what you're asking for, but you just said you don't want to
I'm asking for
approve it.
legal to look at. There's something that legal cites in that document that can bring it to our attention for our approval or disapproval.
Okay.
But legal, could you step up to the podium, Mr. Green? If administration sends you a document for RFP or bid and asks you to look at it, and you see something that's not right in the document, what would you do?
I would shoot an email like we do currently
Like you do now.
to administration and to the council, just advising everyone of what we see as potentially problematic and a prospective remedy.
Okay, thank you.
No, they don't do that.
What would we be looking at? Well, from what Mr. Sarabu explained, it seems that we'd be looking at the actual documents that you all would advertise prior to them being advertised. So the actual solicitation, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Correct. So if there's a correction
So
to
y'all don't look at that?
No, we do not.
Okay, so all you're asking is for y'all to look at it. Okay, just make a recommendation if it's, right? Okay, but once again, it's not an approval from you. It's just a recommendation that you may be something, just like your
Correct,
legal
like
opinion.
with the contracts, exactly.
Right, just like with the contracts.
I'll say anything that legal is provided, when we look at it, we will give you feedback because we understand that that is the purpose, that is our role.
Will it be required that you all have the time to digest it, give the feedback, make the recommendations, it get change, all of those types of things before we get out a simple RFP for fuel and chlorine and concrete replacements. It seems like another,
Right.
unnecessary layer of bureaucracy.
No, that part I don't know.
Right.
But what I do know is if you all send it to us, we will give you feedback. Now, as far as
Yeah, the time,
as far as what sort of, how can I put this, the weight that feedback is given, I mean, that's strictly under the purview of the council. You guys decide that.
But may I make another
Yes.
comment? I know the struggle that we're having now with contracts. And not that, and we're doing much better in getting contracts to the DA's office in a timely manner for them to get back to us with the approval prior to council meeting. So if we're having challenges just with contracts and trying to get that to them to get approval prior to a council meeting, I can only imagine what it would be like for RFP and bids and RFQs.
Well, the issue with the contracts is that we consistently wait for administration to provide additional documentation like we're doing now. So I don't think that's a fair assessment. You've already provided one option that we give you guys a template, and that's something that we would definitely consider. We've given you all templates for contracts, but you seem to deviate from those as well. But that's besides the point. I guess the point is, if the council should decide that your legal counsels are going to review your RFP documents or your RFQs prior to their advertisement, then that's what we will do. If they decide they don't want to do that, then we won't do it.
If I can comment on Mr. Green's unnecessary
Yes,
comment, in
comment
reference, may I, Mr.
Yeah, go
Chair, Mr. Green, again, I thought we were trying to work together and submit the documents to you in a timely manner. In reference to what you just stated, a lot of times when we have to get information to you, Mr. Green, we're waiting on other people to get it to us so that we can get it to you. So it's not that we're being intentional in reference to not getting documents or not following the DA's instructions. The parish president make it her business to make sure that we follow what the DA tells us to do. So I don't know where that's coming from.
Okay. Ms. O'Donnell?
If the discussion is over, I definitely don't want us to get into that.
Okay.
I will call for the
For the question,
so we can
okay.
go ahead and
So you can use your lights.
That fails. 3 in favor and 5 against with 1 absent. 4 against, 3 in favor, 7, 8, 9, and I'm missing somebody. So you're abstaining?
Yeah.
Okay, and 1 abstaining. So I have 4 against. 1 abstaining and 1 absent.
Yeah, got executive session. Okay, we have executive session tonight. Okay, we need a motion to go into executive session. In reference to Cape Horn versus St. John the Baptist Parish, case number 72013. Okay, wait, before you discuss them, we have to clear the, everyone have to get out. Hey, we need a motion. Okay, motion, second by Mr. Wright.
Okay, Anita.
Okay, use your light. Okay, as a result of executive session, no action was taken. We had a motion. You was missing.
Y'all did a motion?
Yeah, we did a motion. Motion by Mr. Wright, second by Ms. Hotar.
Thank y'all.
By her aye. Okay, use your lights, please.
Okay, that carries 8 in favor with 1 absent.
8 in favor, 1 absent. And as a result of executive session, no action was taken on the item listed before. Okay, we have introduction of ordinance. Take it away.
Ordinance 1823, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property belonging to
Testing.
Perry M. Bailey at Oaks. Proposed tracks 1 and 2 of the Perry M. Bailey at Oaks tract, located in the area generally bounded by Highway 18, Highway 640, and East 4th Street, containing municipal address 2293 Highway 18, Edgar, Louisiana, from the Residential District 1, R1, and Commercial District 1, C1, to the Commercial District 2, C2, zoning district, as shown in Exhibit 1. Ordinance 1824, an ordinance approving the re-subdivision of property belonging to Perry M. Bailey at Oaks into tracts 1 and 2 of the Perry M. Bailey at Oaks tract, located in the area generally bounded by Highway 18, Highway 640, and East 4th Street, containing municipal address 2293 Highway 18, Edgar, Louisiana, as shown in a survey prepared by Kenneth L. Remert, PLS, on April 17, 2018. Ordinance 1825, an ordinance approving the rezoning of a portion of lots A1, A2, A3, A4, B1, and B2 of the Bonnie Carey Crevasse tract, proposed lot A4/B, located in the area generally bounded by Juti Lane, Highway 3217, Garden Grove, and Highway 628, LaPlace, Louisiana, from the Residential District 4, or 4, to the Commercial District 2, C2 zoning district, with the exception of that portion of the subject site that is within 100 feet of the property line abutting Garden Grove, which is to remain zoned Residential District 4, or 4, as shown in Exhibit 1. Ordinance 1826, an ordinance approving the re-subdivision of lots A1, A2, A3, A4, B1, and B2 of the Bonnie Carey Crevasse tract into lot A4-B of the Bonnie Carey Crevasse tract, located in the area generally bounded by Juti Lane, Highway 3217, Garden Grove, and Highway 628, LaPlace, Louisiana, as shown in a survey prepared by Louis C. Hartman, PLS, on March 29, 2018.
Okay, thank you. Presidential remark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. The Summer Food Service Program for school-aged children will run through July 20th, Mondays through Thursday. Breakfast and lunch are being served at East St. John High School and Emily C. Watkins Elementary School, and lunch is served at Lake Pontchartrain Elementary School, New Wine Christian Fellowship, and West St. John Elementary School. Breakfast is served from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., and lunch is served from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. For more information or questions, please visit Health Human Service webpage or call 985-536-4955. Business owners and residents interested in starting a business, changing a business name, or moving business locations within the parish are advised to attend tomorrow's Lunch and Learn on occupational licenses. It will take place at the River Parish's Community College Media Center, located at 181 Regalis Park Road in Reserve, from 11:30 to 1 p.m. Special thanks to Ms. Evelyn Cade Campo, the Parish Floodplain Manager, and Ms. Bill Corman, the Parish CRS Coordinator, for successfully facilitating the closeout of the Parish Community Assistance Visit, or CAV. Their diligence and thorough work had helped the parish maintain full compliance with NFIP and continues the parish participation in the Community Rating System, or CRS. As a direct result, policyholders will continue to receive premium discounts and recognitions of the fact that the parish is pursuing floodplain management efforts that are above and beyond the minimum criteria for NFIP. As we approach the hottest months of the year, we're asking that you prepare for high temperatures that are anticipated in our region. We're also making preparations for our employees that work outdoors. Public safety officials will continue actively monitor and advise of any and all heat advisories by the National Weather Service. Residents and businesses shall learn about and watch for the symptoms of heat illnesses and take proactive steps to protect yourself, fellow workers, and others. We also want to remind everyone that hurricane season is here and everyone shall finalize their hurricane plans. Please review your plans and go to our website to register to receive e-news releases and emergency notifications to your cell, email, and text. Belterre ramps closures are taking place through Friday. The project is slated to be complete in mid to late July. Also tomorrow, Wednesday, June the 27th, 2018, alternate right and left lanes closures will be effective on Belterre Boulevard from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., weather permitting, for asphalt work. Thank you for your patience and be mindful of the road work. The 13th Annual St. John Parish Veteran Luncheon will be held next Tuesday, July 3rd at 11 a.m. at Regala Gym in Reserve. A video tribute to pay homage to St. John veterans and service members will be featured again this year during the luncheon. The video will also be played later that day during the televised broadcast of the Independence Day fireworks celebration. We hope you can join us for this 18th Annual Independence Day celebration and fireworks show to be held on the evening of July 3rd on the grounds of St. Peter's Catholic Church and the St. John Baptist Catholic Church in Agard at 6 p.m. The televised broadcast will start at 7 p.m. And reminder, St. John Parish government offices will be closed on Wednesday, July 4th in observance of the Independence Day. We wish everyone a happy 4th of July, and we hope to see you at our Independence Day celebration on Tuesday. Happy 4th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Council brief, Mr. Swafford. Mr. Bagnell.
Safe and happy 4th to everyone.
Ms. Remedy.
I know everybody wants to get out, but if I was hoping Bailey could get up for a few seconds in my time because she put together something about debris, if y'all wouldn't mind real quick. Something she wants to put in the utility bills.
Thank you. Councilwoman Remedy asked me to put together something, and to be honest, these are questions that we probably all get, and we get all the time on social media, and we get phone calls. It has to do with garbage and debris removal information. The flyer that I put together has important information. It's going to go out in the water bills. We made it the size so that it can fit and be folded into water bills as to not, be expensive as a mail out. However, it does have good information in it, household garbage pickups, who to call for white goods, on what days do they pick up white goods, refrigerators, who to call for vegetative debris, tree limb pickup, how you can request tree limb pickup, what days you can request tree limb pickup, weather-related debris information, dumpsters, who to call for a new garbage can. I probably get that question every single day at work. Or email for a new garbage can. On the back of the flyer, it's a front and back. It's the recycling center locations, what items are accepted into the centers. Too often we have overflowing centers and dumpsters because some residents do bring things that aren't permitted. So it's just a reminder of what should go in a recycling bin. Also, the number for complaints or to request certain pickups, holiday reminders about when garbage isn't being picked up, reminders for contractors, reminders about garbage placement. It's a really good document for just front and back, and it'll go out in all the water bills so that everybody can have a copy at home, and hopefully they can reference it if they have questions about garbage or debris removal information. So,
thank you, Bailey.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Snyder.
Yes, condolences goes out to the Sylvan family and the loss of one Dale Sylvan and a friend of mine, Hilton White. He passed as our recreation director's step grandpa, and I'd like to thank the roads and bridges people, not roads, I guess it's roads and bridges, for taking care of those light problems we had in Cambridge. That they took care of it pretty good and pretty quickly. As soon as I got it to them, 2 or 3 days they had it done. So thank you guys for taking care of that for us.
Mr. Wright.
Thank you. And Bailey, I'm glad to see we're doing water bill inserts, because I can assure you our residents are reading their water bills and they will see whatever we put in there. I think earlier we were talking about, government already being slow in layers, but just to share a success story and to thank everyone. You know, when I first took office 6.5 years ago, we started working on a dedicated turn signal for Old 51 turning onto Airline Highway. And between, you know, President Rowbottom, Sheriff Trigg, myself, this entire council sending resolutions, Representative Gaines, Representative Miller, our parish lobbyist, and more recently, Louisiana DOTD Secretary Sean Wilson, it was a 6.5-year effort. So I just want to thank everybody that was involved because, you know, the small things do make a big difference. And I can tell you the residents, not just the residents of Old 51, but those who often travel that road and bypass New 51 are very grateful for it. So a lot of times we are here, we do point out the bad, but I just want to make sure we point out the good and thank all those involved because it was a 6.5-year effort to get something as simple as a turning lane to protect the residents and pass buyers that come through our parish. So just wanted to, you know, thank everybody involved on this 6.5-year small but big endeavor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mallett?
First of all, I'd like to thank Verdale Kendrick for everything that he's been doing for me in my district. As far as I'm concerned, if I call him, he should jump right ahead of all your problems and resolve mine first. But I understand. Hey, you know, but I understand there's a priority, and I know he's a busy guy, and all of his folks that are working for him are doing a lot of good things. So I do appreciate that, and I also appreciate his candor. Hey, I can't find it, you know. But anyway, we'll work things out. I'd also like to thank the administration, the group that's going to host this Veterans Luncheon. It'll be on the 3rd or the 4th. When is the 3rd, I think? Yeah, the 3rd. I appreciate that, and have a safe and happy Independence Day.
Okay, nope. Nope, I just want to echo what you said about Mr. Verdale, and when he's not in your district, he's by mine. So I'll make sure I send him to you over there. I'll make sure I send him over there. But he really do a good job. You know, when we call, you respond. And also, I want to shout out to Miss Laverne. She been doing the same thing for me quite recently. You know, and insist me in getting that repaired right. Okay, so I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank Travis for keeping us updated with the weather and also the heat index and, you know, staying out the heat and everything. You know, you're doing a good job with that. You know, we don't mention him too much, you know, so he's behind the scenes. So tonight we're bringing him out. Okay, so I want to thank him, you know, keeping us informed with that. I also want to give my condolences to the Sylvan family and to Mr. Hilton White. A friend of mine, you know, I was shocked to find out, you know, of his passing, you know, and so, you know, we want to condolence to everyone and hope that everyone have a safe and happy 4th of July. Okay, I can't drop the mic, but we can say, take a motion to, motion by Mr. Mellon, second by Mr. Wright. You use your light?
That carries.
That carries. Yeah, I can drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
What happened to the